So you want to self-film your hunts. Well, let me tell you right now, you guys are in the right place, so stick around. I've been self-filming my hunts for the last 4 years now, and I want to help you guys be able to go out in the woods and do the same. It's a great feeling to be able to capture the memories of something you are so passionate about and something that you put so much time and effort into. So today I'm going to be taking you through my process step by step of how I go about self-filming my hunts. So in this video, we're going to start out by looking at how to get organized. I'm going to show you my thought process behind it and how I organize my own backpack. Then I'm going to take you guys out into the woods with me. I'm going to show you kind of my process of some filming I may do along the way just as I'm getting to the stand. And then once we get to the stand itself, I'm going to basically just think out loud and share with you guys the way that I go about things. So you guys are going to get kind of a behind the scenes of what it looks like and what all goes into self-filming your hunts. It's 3 o'clock right now. I'm about to head out and get in the stand. It's the last couple weeks of bow season here in Texas, so I am still trying to fill my buck tag. I'm trying to get a buck on the ground. But before we head that way, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what all is in my backpack and how I get it all set up and organized in there. So what you're looking at right now is all the gear that goes into that backpack and up into the tree with me so that I can self-film my hunts. It's important how you put things into your backpack because you want what you need first at the very top when you open it up, when you get into the tree, so you're not scrambling around looking for different things. So I'm going to go through all this and then I'm going to show you how I put it in there. So we'll start it off with this right here. This is the base of the camera arm. So this is what goes onto the tree itself. I strap that around, ratchet it down, and then once this is in, I take this and I place it right in there like that, and then that's going to be my arm while I'm up in the tree. Next we have our GoPro. So this is what's going to capture our second angle of us in the tree. Right now I have it on this tripod that flexes around, and what I'll do is when I get up in the tree, I'm going to take this and I'm going to wrap it around my bow hanger and I'm going to leave that running. Okay, and so that's going to give us a second angle of us in the tree. If you're not going to have a bow hanger, I always have one of these in my backpack just in case, so you can screw this into the tree and then you can attach your GoPro to it right there, and that gives you a second angle. I always leave this in my backpack as well. This is just a GoPro head strap, so if I ever need to just strap the GoPro to my head, that's what I'll use. And for this video, I'm actually going to be using this because I'm going to try and give you kind of a first-person view of what it looks like to self-film your hunts. So always keep that with me just in case I need it. Then another thing you're always going to want to have is you're going to want to have a nice long rope. Next is a microphone. I always have a shotgun mic with me. I usually use wireless mics like I'm using right now, and that's what this is. So I usually have both of these just in case I want to use one or the other. So I always have my microphones, and then something else that I always have to have is my headlamp. This is super important when you're setting up before daylight or when you're tearing down after daylight. You don't want to be having to juggle a flashlight in your hand, so it's nice to just have this so you can use both your hands to get all your gear taken down and back into your backpack. Next is just another camera. This isn't like necessary, but I usually just leave this one in my pocket. It's small enough. I have it so when I'm just walking in, if I happen to walk in on an animal, I can film it with this while everything else is in the backpack. Or if I just want to get some shots of me walking into the woods, I can use this. Next is a couple extra batteries for your main camera. You don't want to ever go into the woods without extra batteries, because if your batteries die, that's just very unfortunate and you're not going to be happy. So make sure you've got some extra batteries. Next is a portable charger. This is what I hook up to the GoPro so that I know it's not going to run out of battery. It's kind of a hassle to have to change a GoPro battery like halfway through a hunt, so I just plug this into it, turn it on, and I know that the GoPro is going to stay on the whole hunt. That way I can leave the GoPro running so I never miss a moment of the hunt. Another thing I always carry with me is a nice bright light. This is good for if you kill something after dark. If you're wanting to get kind of like a trophy shot interview type thing after you've shot the deer, you're going to want to have a light like this so you can, I'm trying to turn it on, yeah, there we go. So you can use this and you can get some shots after dark. And the last thing is just a camera bag, obviously to put the camera in so it doesn't get hurt while it's inside the backpack. So that's all the gear that's going in there. Now I'm going to show you how I organize it and how I put it into the backpack. So what we're basically going to be doing is we're going to be putting everything into the backpack backwards in the order that we're going to need it. So the thing that I need first is going to be the last thing I put into the backpack. So for me, the thing I need first is the base to this camera arm. So that's the very last thing we're putting in. So first things first, this goes in because the last thing I'm getting out is my camera. When everything is ready and set up, I'm ready to get my camera out and put it on the camera arm. So the things I keep in here, I keep my shotgun mic. It goes right in there. And then my main camera is going to go right here in the middle. And then over here is usually where I'll drop in a wireless mic and I'll put a couple extra batteries right in there too. And then the main camera that I'm recording with right now would go right there, and then I'd zip it up and that's ready to go. So now we've got that right down there in the backpack. Next, we're gonna take a lot of this little stuff, and I've got different pockets that I keep it in. So my light is gonna go in this front pocket, my headlamp is gonna go in this front pocket, and this is also where I would keep like extra clothes and things like that. And then we're also gonna just throw this in there too, just in case we would need it. Now, since I know that I'm gonna be using a GoPro on this tripod, I'm gonna go ahead and put it in my backpack on the tripod, because that's one less thing for me to have to put together in the tree. So I'm gonna take it, and I've got another pocket right here. I like having different pockets in this bag. It just makes everything a little more organized. So I put my GoPro right there, and then this is going with the GoPro, so I'm gonna put it in there as well. And since this is also GoPro related, we'll put the head strap in there with it too. Now we're just left with a few things. The rope, I'm gonna keep right here in this side pocket, so it's really easy to get to, because it's really the first thing that I'm gonna use when I'm climbing up into the tree. And then, like I said, this camera is just gonna go in my pocket, so I'm just gonna toss it off to the side. So now we're ready to put our camera arm in. So the first thing I'm gonna grab is the actual arm itself, and I'm gonna slip it right in there behind the camera bag. So now I've got that in there. And then lastly, we're gonna put the base in. And again, this is the first thing I'm gonna need when I get up in the tree, so it's gonna be right here, ready for me to grab it when I get up there. So I'm gonna put that in there. It's all a tight fit, but it zips up eventually. And just like that, we are ready to go hunting. And I've still got a lot of extra room in here to put extra clothes or whatever it is that I might need to carry. So that's it. That's the way I pack my bag. Now let's go get out in the woods and get up into the tree. We just got to where we're gonna walk in from, and for the next little while I'm just gonna put this GoPro on my head so you can just see what it is that I do, and I'll kind of walk you guys through and think out loud and tell you guys what it is that I'm doing. But since we are recording on the GoPro, the audio and stuff might not be the best quality, so just bear with me, but hopefully it won't sound too bad. But I'm gonna grab my backpack, I'm gonna grab my bow, we're gonna walk in, and we're gonna get set up. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll just carry a little camera like this in my pocket, just to have it on me just in case I see something, but I can also get some shots of me just walking in. Sometimes I will just strap a GoPro on my head like this while I'm walking in. So I just kind of get shots of what it is that I'm doing, that I can put in the final video. So I'm gonna get a few shots with this camera while we're walking in, just to kind of show you guys what I'm talking about. We've got fresh tracks coming through here. It's been raining the past few days, so you can really kind of tell where the animals have been moving. I think they've been coming up and down this creek quite a bit, and that's where we're about to go hunt. So see, we just jumped up 2 deer back there. Our stand's right in here. I can see one of them standing over there in the sunlight. I'm gonna go ahead and go in and get set up. So the first thing you always need is a nice rope to get your bow or your gun or whatever it is up into your stand. Because especially when you're self-filming, you've already got so much that you're trying to get up into a tree. You just can't try to juggle your weapon up in there with you too. So you always need to have something to pull it up in there with. So I'm gonna leave this right here. And then I'm gonna tie this to me so that when I'm ready, I can just pull it up. Now that I'm up here, I can go ahead and get strapped into the tree and get up in it. So now that I'm up here, I'm gonna take my backpack off and start unpacking. And like I showed you earlier, I've got everything in here, so the first thing that I need to go in the tree is right here when I unzip it. So I'm gonna unzip it, and right here I've got the base of my tree arm, and that's the first thing I'm gonna put on. I've already got it sized to this tree because I was here the other day. And I can go ahead and hook that to the tree, and once I've got it there, you come over here to this ratchet, and this does make quite a bit of noise, but it's just something you kind of have to deal with. But I want to get it where I think it's going to be pretty level, and that should do it right there. So now I've got that in, I'm going to go ahead and put the arm on it,
And then we'll worry about getting it more level here in a second. But I can go ahead and slip that in there like so. We can see it's already pretty close to being level. We'll just have to mess with it just a little bit. So now my backpack is light enough that I can hang it on my hook over here. And this is something that you're always going to have. You need to have a hook that you can screw into the tree so that you can hang your backpack up. So my backpack is going to hang right here. And then you see I've also got my bow hanger right here. And something we'll do in a second, I'll show you. I'm not going to do it this hunt because I've got the GoPro on my head. But a lot of times I'll put a GoPro right here and just kind of have a tripod that grabs onto this. So it kind of gets a view of me in the stand, but also in front of me, and just gives a cool another angle. But now that we've got this set up, our backpack is light enough that we can hang it on that hook, and I can go ahead and sit down because by this time I'm usually kind of out of breath. So I'm gonna sit here for just a second, kind of catch my breath, and we're gonna get this level. So you see I've got a level here. I've also got a level back here. And it needs to come down just a little bit right now, so that's what we're gonna do. Just bring that down slightly. And then it should be good. And I always like to put a little pressure on it. And now this is perfectly level when it's out in front of me. It's gonna change a little bit when it's over here to the side, but it's not that big of a deal. I always like to have it level when it's sticking out in front of me. So now we've got everything set up to where we just need to put our cameras on everything. So we can come over here. Actually, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull my bow up because I've already got my bow hanger. I'm gonna go ahead and get my weapon up in the stand. It's always nice to have it up here since we are here to hunt. So if I can get untangled, there we go. All right, so I'll go ahead and hang that right there, and I'll come back and knock an arrow in just a second. But I'm gonna go ahead and untie this from me, and then I'm just gonna clip this onto something. In this case, my camera arm works pretty good, so I'm gonna bring it over here and just clip it right there so that I have that for when we leave, so I can lower my bow down. Okay, now it's time to get to the camera stuff. So you can see this is a little bit of a process. It's taken me probably 10 minutes to get set up when it's all said and done. But I can bring my backpack over here, can bring my camera arm over, and start to get things out. So I've got my other bag inside here that has the valuables in it. It's always a little sketchy bringing the camera this expensive up into a tree, but I can now get my camera out, and you can see I've already got my quick release plate on it, so all I've got to do is make sure this is loosened and just slide it right on, just like that. Then lock it in over here, and boom, we've got our camera out and ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and flip the screen out towards me a little bit so I can have a good view of it. Turn the camera on. You always want to make sure you take the lens cap off. That always helps. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my wireless mic setup on it. So I've got this, which is the receiver, and that goes on the camera, and then this, which goes on me. If you don't have that, this is when you take your shotgun mic and you put it on there. I always have this on me just in case I need it, but I usually like to go with the wireless mics. So I'm going to slip this right there on top, turn it on, and then plug it into the camera itself. And then this mic, I just go ahead and turn it on, and then I'm going to go ahead and place it right here on my jacket so that that's right there capturing audio. So now that I have this mic set up on this camera, what I can do is I'm going to start recording on this camera, and then I can sync the audio, so I can use the audio from this microphone as opposed to the microphone of the GoPro. So what's about to happen is the audio quality is about to get a lot better when I press this red button right here. So now
you're getting the audio from this mic, and I've done all this in the editing software, okay? And something that helps inside the editing software is making a sharp noise that the mics both pick up, and then the software itself will align those audios, and then you can just use whichever one you want. So I'm going to snap real quick, and that should help me to align those audios. So I've got this camera rolling. You can see right here, this is what we're looking at. This is our setup today. We're hunting on this creek right in front of us. So now what I would usually do at this point is I would get my second angle set up, and currently my second angle camera is strapped to my head. But this gives me a nice shot. If I need to interview myself, I've got this. So if I'm like telling about where we're hunting today, like what I'm trying to do, what the date is, things like that, I can use this. I can swing my camera out in front of me. I have the arm looking right back at me, and it gives me this nice shot. But I also like to have a second angle, because this camera right here that you're looking at, this is the camera that I record the kill shot with, or the animals with. So I have this camera right here. And if I have animals in front of me, this is the camera I film them with. I zoom in like that, and I film them. So because of that, this camera is always focused on something in front of me in the actual hunt itself. Because of that, I like to have a second angle that's capturing me. So if I do end up shooting an animal, I have a video of me drawing my bow back, or I have a video of me getting my gun up, things like that. So you can kind of see what I'm doing. And that's what this camera is usually doing. So I'm going to show you what that would look like and how I would usually set that up. Okay, so now I've taken the GoPro that was on my head, and I've put it on this tripod that has this flexible mount. Okay, and what I would usually do is I would take this and I would put it up here on my bow hanger. I can take it and it wraps around this. I don't know if you can see it. So then I take it and I angle it down like this right here. And this may not be the best. I usually connect it to my phone and double check it to see if it looks good, if it looks how I want it. But then when I sit down in the stand, you should be able to see in front of me. You should be able to see me, and you should be able to see everything that I'm doing. So if I'm filming, you see me doing that. And if I've got a deer right out here in front of me, you see me grabbing my bow, you see me putting my release in, and you see me drawing back. So you get all of it, and you can see pretty much everything that I'm doing. So that's where that camera would usually be. That's where I usually leave it set up. But for today's purposes and just kind of showing you how I go about doing things, I'm going to take that back down and I'm going to put it back on my head so you guys get kind of a first-person view of what it is I'm doing. So if we have some animals come in here in a little bit, you see exactly what it is that I'm doing, how I'm moving this camera, how I'm kind of trying to keep my movements down, and just kind of giving you guys a feel for how to go about it. So I'm going to grab that and I'm going to put it back on my head. And that's pretty much it. That's how you get set up. That's it. I say that's it. It's kind of a complex process, and you'll work up a sweat when you're doing it. I usually do. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes, so you always want to give yourself, like if you want to be on the stand like 10 minutes before daylight, then you need to be getting to the stand 20 minutes before daylight, so you have time to get your stuff set up. So now that I've shown you guys all that, all we have to do is sit tight and hope some animals come in. Hopefully a big buck comes in, because I'm still hunting for one, so that would be awesome if I make this video, but I also make a video shooting a buck, so that would be sick. I'm going to sit tight, see what happens. So right now I'm just getting some shots of this red bird that just landed right down here in front of us. Just be nice to have. I was just about to turn the GoPro back on and show you guys kind of how I film some of my B-roll. And a lot of times I like to get a lot of it right when I get back up into the tree, just because that's when you're usually not going to see anything right after you've made a little bit of noise. You just walked in. So I like to take that opportunity and use that as a time to kind of get some detailed shots. So something you always want to do is you always want to just get like a wide angle shot of where you're hunting, just kind of to set the scene of where it is that you're at. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just getting a nice wide angle shot.
And then after that, you can do some detailed shots, like with this cardinal. That's very nice that he just decided to come in here for us so we can get some shots of him. We can zoom right in on him, and that gives us some nice B-roll. But other than that, you kind of just want to get detailed shots of the scene around you so you can kind of tell a story with everything that's going on. For instance, what I'm looking at right now, we've got my bow behind us, and I know we've got some good sunlight. So I'm going to turn this camera around. And you can already see that looks sick, so I can adjust this, get the bow how I would like it for the shot, get it more angled that way. And then I can zoom in, and boom, I've got a nice cinematic looking shot of my bow. So that tells the story that I'm bow hunting. I'm here, I'm in a tree up on this creek. Then I can just get some detailed shots of other things around me. So for instance, let's see what we got. I'm just looking around at things around me. There's some nice light on this tree, the moss. Over here, let's see how that looks. Let's focus it in over there. So see, that's a nice shot. Looks pretty good. We've got some depth with the trees in front of it. We've got some motion with the running water behind it. That's just all around a good shot. We've got a lot of birds flying around, so what I would be doing right now is I'd be looking for when they would get close to me so that I could try and get a really nice close-up shot of them. But since we don't, right now, let's get some other things. You can always zoom in on trees, and they always look so good. I love trees, so we'll just get a nice shot. Good detailed shot of that tree right in the sunlight. The water on the creek is pretty. So let's zoom in, get a detailed shot of that. I'm just going to leave it right there and not even move it because it already looks good with the water moving from the wind. Really, this part just comes down to you and your creativity. And a lot of times it's just watching the things that are happening around you. You'll have squirrels that are real close to you. You'll have birds like this cardinal that's just down here eating my corn right now. It's kind of making me mad. He's just eating my corn. Look at him. Who does he think he is, bro? Oh, he brought his friend too. But anyways, just kind of watching what's happening around you, just watching nature. And a lot of times the light, as it shifts, it'll hit different things and it'll kind of draw your eye to it. So you just kind of want to stay on your toes and just see what's happening around you. Yes, you can get shots of like your bow, your stand, your boots, your whatever. You can get shots of the things of you in a tree, but it's also nice to just get those detailed shots of everything that's happening around you. And as the morning progresses or as it gets closer to dark in the evening. So it really just comes down to your creativity and how you want to go about doing that. So I've got some pretty good shots right now that I'm content with. So at this point, I would just turn the cameras off and just kind of sit and wait and let things settle down. I always feel like I make so much noise. Oh, there's a really good shot of a cardinal right now. Hold on. Like, see it right now. I'm just talking, but I'm also watching. It's also hard to find things in the camera. Where is that cardinal? There it is. But like as I'm talking to you, I'm just watching nature around me, and I see that bird land right there in the light. So now I have that pretty shot, and I have that cool shot of it flying away. Anyways, I'm going to turn the camera off, quiet down. Hopefully we get some deer in here that we can film here in a little bit. That would be ideal. So I'll see you guys when we see a deer. So just kind of a quick tip. The first thing I do when I see a deer or a hog, whatever it is that I'm after, the first thing that I'm going to do is as soon as I see them, if they're not looking right at me, I'm going to just reach right over here and I'm going to turn the camera on and I'm going to press record. And I'm going to start recording as soon as I see that animal. Now, if they're looking right at me, obviously I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wait until they look away, and then I'm going to try and get my camera recording. And then after that, I can worry about zooming in and out or whatever I need to do to get a better shot of them. But just getting the camera going is always a good first step. And then as far as your second angle goes, if I've got the camera up behind me on my bow hanger, I'll have a battery hooked up to it. So I can just turn the camera on, press record, and I've got a big enough SD card in it that I can just leave it recording for 2, 3, 4 hours, however long I'm in the stand. So I never have to worry about turning that on. And that's also good if I have an animal looking at me and I can't get this camera on. I've already got that one going, and it may already see the animal, so you may already have a shot of it. So that's just a quick tip, kind of a pointer of how I go about getting my cameras on when the time comes. I've got a doe back here. That was literally right after I'd just been talking about turning the cameras on. She has no idea we're here. They're running from something. Just crossed the creek over there. I'm not sure where the other one went. I know there were two, but those deer are acting really uptight about something. She crossed the creek and went into this field behind me, but I'm gonna keep my eyes out, see if they come back, see if there's a buck or something trailing them. I just realized I didn't really cover the technical side of the camera. I always shoot in 1080p. It's still good quality. I can shoot in 4K if I need to, but really with 1080p it's still good quality, and your battery life is going to be a lot longer, and you're going to take up a lot less space on an SD card, so I always just shoot in 1080p. The lens I'm using is a 24mm to 240mm, so I can get a pretty wide shot of me sitting in the stand like you've already seen, but I can also zoom in really close. As far as focusing goes, I tend to leave it on autofocus, and it gets the job done for me, but a lot of times when you start to lose light, your camera's autofocus system will have a lot harder time of focusing on it, on what you wanted to focus on. So when I start to lose light, that's when I'll switch it over into manual focus. You've already seen I like to run a wireless mic, but it doesn't really matter. You can use a shotgun mic, wireless mic, whatever you want. I just would recommend using some kind of mic that's not the one built into your camera. It's really going to enhance your video a lot. Because audio is a really, really important part of video making, so a lot of people neglect that. But audio is something that you can't just kind of kick to the curb. Audio is something that you need to focus on, so make sure you get you a good microphone for your camera. But something I almost forgot to mention is I always shoot in 60 frames per second, and the reason I do that is just in case I want to slow a video down. You can make it slow motion, but also when you're shooting B-roll, if the video is kind of shaky, you can slow it down to 50%, and it's going to make it a lot more stable, and it's going to look a lot more cinematic. So I always leave my camera in 1080p at 60 frames per second. we just had a doe come in, and then behind her were 4 bucks. 2 or 3 of them were shooters, like nice deer. And then we had this spike come in just a second ago. But when those deer came out, the GoPro froze up on me. I just was not expecting that at all. Those were good bucks. They never gave me a shot. They never even crossed the creek. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you guys found this helpful. I hope you found it informative. I know I had a lot of fun today out in the woods. I wasn't expecting to see that many deer, but hey, I'm not complaining. It's good to see a bunch of bucks together. If you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comments down below, and I'll get to responding to those. But we've got about 3 minutes left to shooting light. I'm going to go ahead and start packing up. Again, I'm going to recommend you go and you watch my other self-filming video on the different budgets. It'll be in the description, linked below. You guys can go check that out. But today is a prime example of why I love self-filming, because I get to preserve that memory that I made today, that awesome memory of those 4 bucks coming in right behind each other. And I don't just have to tell people about it. I can actually show them. So I'm sure someday that'll play a part of a story, maybe of one of those bucks that I eventually get, or just the story of kind of the hunt or the chase for another deer that I end up getting. So it's always nice to have these things documented and be able to look back upon them. But it was a great afternoon out in God's creation, very peaceful, very calm, very relaxing. Good luck to all of you as you start to get into this self-filming process of kind of learning the ins and outs of it. And I know you all are going to do great. So thank you all so much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day. God bless.